Every single year, thousands of Americans lose their SSDI benefits, not because their condition got better, not because a doctor said they were cured, but because of words they said during a routine review. Just a few sentences spoken the wrong way to the wrong person at the wrong time, and a monthly benefit check that someone depended on for years, sometimes decades, disappears. And what makes this so devastating is that most of the people who lose their benefits had no idea they said anything wrong. They were just trying to be honest. They were just trying to be polite. They were just trying to answer the questions they were asked. But the Social Security Administration conducts what are called continuing disability reviews, CDRs, on a regular basis. And the purpose of those reviews is to determine whether you still qualify for your disability benefits. And during those reviews, certain words and phrases can be used against you in ways you would never expect. If you are currently receiving SSDI benefits, if you know someone who is, or if you have a CDR coming up at any point in the future, you need to watch this video all the way to the end. Because what I am about to share with you could be the difference between keeping your benefits and losing everything. Welcome back, and thank you for being here. Today, we are talking about 5 specific words and phrases that SSDI recipients should never say during a continuing disability review, along with what you should say instead. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how CDRs work, why certain words raise red flags with Social Security reviewers, and how to protect yourself and your benefits with the right language. Let's start with the basics, because understanding how a CDR works is just as important as knowing what not to say. A continuing disability review is the process Social Security uses to check whether you're still disabled and still eligible for your SSDI benefits. How often you get reviewed depends on how severe your condition is and whether improvement is expected. If Social Security believes your condition might improve, they may review you every 6 to 18 months. If improvement is possible but not certain, they typically review you every 3 years. And if improvement is not expected, they generally review you every 5 to 7 years. During a CDR, Social Security looks at your medical records, your treatment history, and any information you provide, either in writing on a form or verbally during an interview. And this is exactly where the danger lies, because the words you choose when describing your condition, your daily activities, and your ability to function can paint a very different picture than the one your doctors see. Most SSDI recipients do not know this, but Social Security reviewers are specifically trained to listen for language that suggests you might be capable of returning to work. And some of the most common, innocent-sounding phrases that people say every day are the exact phrases that raise red flags. So let's get into them, starting with phrase number 5. Phrase number 5 is, "I'm doing better." I know that sounds harmless. I know that when someone asks how you're feeling, saying, "I'm doing better," feels like the natural, polite response. But during a continuing disability review, those 3 words can seriously damage your case. Here is why. The standard Social Security uses to evaluate your disability is not whether you are better than you were at your worst moment. The standard is whether you are able to perform substantial gainful activity, meaning whether you can work and earn a living. When a reviewer hears, "I'm doing better," they do not automatically think, "Oh, that's nice, they seem to be managing." They think, has this person's condition improved to the point where they might be able to return to work? And that thought gets noted, that word gets flagged, and it can trigger a deeper investigation into whether your benefits should continue. Now, this does not mean you should lie. You should never lie to Social Security, ever. What it means is that you need to be more precise. Instead of saying, "I'm doing better," try saying something like, "I'm having some days that are slightly less painful than my worst days, but I still cannot sit for more than 20 minutes without severe discomfort. And I'm unable to maintain any kind of consistent work schedule." Do you hear the difference? You are not lying. You are giving a complete, accurate picture of your situation rather than a vague, positive-sounding summary that can be taken out of context. Every word you say during a CDR should describe your worst days, your average days, and your limitations, not your best moments. But that's not the biggest mistake one. And phrase number 4 is one that trips up even the most careful SSDI recipients. Phrase number 4 is, "I keep myself busy." This is something people say all the time, and it almost always comes from a good place. When a reviewer asks what you do during the day, many people feel uncomfortable saying they do very little, so they mention hobbies, light activities, or small tasks around the house. They say things like, "I keep myself busy. I do a little gardening. I watch my grandchildren sometimes. I try to take short walks." And to a Social Security reviewer, every single one of those activities is a data point. Gardening, that involves bending, lifting, kneeling, and sustained physical activity. Watching grandchildren, that involves attention, supervision, physical response, and sustained mental focus. Taking walks, that involves mobility, endurance, and cardiovascular function. None of these reviewers are going to assume you are doing these things at a limited, modified, or painful level unless you tell them exactly that. Here is the critical thing to understand. You're not being evaluated on whether you can do occasional light activities on your good days. You're being evaluated on whether you could sustain a full-time or even part-time work schedule, showing up consistently, performing tasks reliably, and meeting employer expectations day after day. So when you describe your daily activities, always include your limitations, your pain levels, how long activities actually take you, how much rest you need afterward, and how often you simply cannot do those things at all. Instead of, I keep myself busy, try something like, on my better days, I attempt small tasks around the house, but I often have to stop after just a few minutes due to pain and fatigue, and I typically need to rest for several hours afterward. That is an honest, complete, and accurate answer, and it paints the real picture of what your daily life looks like. This is where many seniors lose their benefits, and we are just getting warmed up. Phrase number 3 is one that I cannot stress enough because it is the most commonly said and the most damaging phrase on this entire list. Phrase number 3 is, I manage. When a reviewer asks how you handle daily tasks, cooking, cleaning, bathing, grocery shopping, managing your medications, and you respond with, I manage, you've just made their job very easy, but not in a good way. I manage sounds like competence. I manage sounds like self-sufficiency. I manage sounds like someone who is coping, adapting, and functioning, and those are not words that support a finding of continuing disability. The reality for most SSDI recipients is far more complicated than I manage. The reality is, I manage, but it takes me 3 times as long as it used to. I manage, but my daughter comes over twice a week to help me because I cannot do it alone. I manage, but I pay for grocery delivery because I cannot walk through a store. I manage, but I have burned meals because I lose focus from my medication. All of those details matter enormously, and none of them are captured in the phrase, I manage. When Social Security reviews your case, they are not looking for evidence that you are suffering. They are looking for evidence of functional limitation. Specific, documented proof that your condition prevents you from performing work-related activities on a sustained, reliable basis. And I manage gives them none of that evidence. So instead of, I manage, be specific every single time. Tell them how long tasks take. Tell them who helps you. Tell them what you cannot do. Tell them what happens when you try to push through the pain or the fatigue. Give them the full picture, not the polished summary. Most retirees and SSDI recipients do not know this, and it costs them their benefits when they need them most. Now, phrase number 2 is a little different from the others, because it is not something you say about your condition. It is something you say about your future. Phrase number 2 is, I've been thinking about going back to work. I know this might seem obvious once I say it out loud, but you would be surprised how many people say some version of this during a CDR, and how quickly it can unravel years of benefit protection. Maybe you have been feeling a little more hopeful lately. Maybe your doctor mentioned that your condition has stabilized. Maybe you have been exploring whether there is some kind of part-time work you could do from home. And in conversation, it comes out, I've been thinking about maybe trying to work again someday, even just a little. To a Social Security reviewer, those words are a flashing red light. Because the core question of every CDR is whether you are capable of performing substantial gainful activity. And you just told them you think you might be. Now, let me be very clear about something important. Thinking about returning to work is not a crime. Exploring your options is not wrong. Social Security actually has programs, like the Ticket to Work program, that are specifically designed to help SSDI recipients explore employment without automatically losing their benefits. But those conversations belong with a Social Security work incentive counselor or a disability attorney, not inside a continuing disability review interview. Inside that review, your job is to accurately describe your current functional limitations. If you genuinely believe your condition may have improved enough to consider work, you need to have that conversation with your doctor and your disability representative first, before you say anything about it to Social Security during a review. The next phrase is the one that surprises people the most, because it sounds like the kind of thing a responsible, organized person says, and yet it can cost you everything. Phrase number 1, the most dangerous phrase you can say during an SSDI review, is, I haven't needed to see my doctor lately. This phrase is devastating to SSDI cases, and here is exactly why. When Social Security reviews your disability, medical evidence is everything. They need to see current, consistent, ongoing documentation of your condition, recent office visit notes, updated treatment records, current medications, and physician assessments of your functional limitations. If you tell a reviewer that you have not been to the doctor recently, even if the reason is that you cannot afford it, or that your condition has been stable, or that you simply have not needed emergency care, what they hear is that there is a gap in your medical record. And gaps in medical records create gaps in the evidence of your ongoing disability. Social Security may interpret a lack of recent medical treatment as a sign that your condition has improved. They may use it as a reason to order a consultative examination, which is an exam conducted by a doctor hired by Social Security, not your own doctor, and those exams often do not go in your favor. And in some cases, they use it as grounds to find that you are no longer disabled. Here is what you need to understand. Ongoing medical treatment is not just good for your health. It is the foundation of your SSDI case. You need to be seeing your treating physicians regularly, ideally every 3 to 6 months at minimum, so that your medical records consistently document your condition, your symptoms, your limitations, and your treatment. If cost is a barrier, you may qualify for Medicare, which most SSDI recipients receive after 24 months of benefits, or Medicaid, depending on your state. If you have been avoiding the doctor, please make an appointment this week, not just for your health, but for your benefits. Now, let's pull all 5 of these together because I want you to leave this video with a complete picture of how to protect yourself. During any SSDI continuing disability review, never say, "I'm doing better," without immediately following it with a detailed description of your ongoing limitations. Never say, "I keep myself busy," without explaining exactly how limited those activities are and how much rest and recovery they require. Never say, "I manage," without specifying who helps you, how long things take, and what you simply cannot do. Never mention that you're thinking about going back to work. Save that conversation for your doctor and your disability representative, and never tell a reviewer that you have not needed to see your doctor lately, because consistent medical treatment is the backbone of your entire case. Here's what I want you to do right now. If you have an upcoming CDR, or if you think one might be coming, call your treating doctor this week and make sure your records are up to date. Write down your worst days, what they look and feel like, what you cannot do, how long you are in bed or on the couch, how your condition affects every area of your daily life. And if you do not already have a disability attorney or a Social Security representative helping you, I strongly encourage you to find one before your next review. Most disability attorneys work on contingency, meaning they only get paid if you win, and having professional representation during a CDR can make an enormous difference in the outcome. Have you ever been through a continuing disability review, and did you feel like you knew what to say going into it? Or did you feel unprepared? Your experience could genuinely help someone else in this community who is facing their first CDR right now, so please share if you are comfortable. If this video helped you today, please give it a thumbs up. It helps more SSDI recipients find this information before their review, not after. And if you're not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. Your disability benefits exist because you earned them. You paid into the system. You deserve to keep every dollar you're entitled to. Stay informed, stay protected, and I will see you in the very next video.